Alright, we're going to talk about the 3 R's and the C today. And the first thing we have to recognize is what the 3 R's and the C stand for. And that is, first is to refer back. That's the first R. The second R is to refute. And then the last R is to read more. And then compare. So, what this is talking about and when this is utilized in debate is when you have an issue that is becoming controversial. All 4 of these things will be done when there's a debate about something. So, for example, when we are debating whether we can make the prices cheap enough to compete with natural gas, and so nuclear power can be cheaper than natural gas, that, when you are having a solvency debate, you would do all 4 of these things. Okay? So, like, when you are debating uniqueness on politics, and they made a non-unique argument, so, like, we're negative, we said immigration is going to pass now, they said, no, it's not. Right? When there is a clash over what the truth is, you will do these 4 things. Does that make sense? You good?
Yeah.
Alright. We're going to start by first just talking about what refer back is. So, the first thing is to refer back. So, this one's really important to learn because even when there's a non-controversial issue, so let's say they conceded something, you need to know how to refer back. Because this is a proper extension of an argument. Does that make sense? So no matter whether you've isolated an argument that you think is really important for the debate, and it was not argued against, you still have to refer back to it. Okay, does that make sense? That's how you point out that there was a concession that's strategically valuable. But it's also important when you're extending pieces of evidence to answer something. So, for example, like if they read one place where we refer back quite often is so you hear the court's counterclaim a lot, right?
Yeah.
Well, we refer back to the pieces of evidence in the 1AC that talk about congressional power. Right? We're like, refer back to those pieces of evidence. They talk about how Congress has to limit executive's control in the NRC. Nobody else can check it like that. Does that make sense? So, refer back works in those 2 different situations. And there's a formula for referring back. So, you first notice what the argument you want is, but then you refer back by starting with the claim. So, this could be usually it's kind of close to what your tag is. So, food shortages cause nuclear war. Right? That's our Mandelbaum evidence. Right? So you start with the claim. And the reason you always start with the claim is because that's what you want the judge to write down in their flow. Right? And so you always want to have a concise, tag-like statement that refers back to the claim that you're extending. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Alright. The second thing you're going to do is have the warrant. Okay, so if we're extending that Mandelbaum piece of evidence, for example, we would say food shortages cause nuclear war. When there is a food shortages, countries either starve to death or fight. They're always going to prefer to fight because there's a risk that they'll survive. And they will use all weapons possible in order to ensure that survival, including nuclear weapons. Okay? Does that kind of make sense? And then, after you've done the warrant, you'll say the author and date. So, food shortages cause nuclear war because the only options in that world are either fight or guaranteed death. They are always going to pick fight, and that means that they will also use any weapon at their disposal, including nuclear weapons. That's our Mandelbaum and 95 evidence. Is that going to make sense?
Yeah.
And so that is always going to be used at any given time whenever there's something going on in a debate round, and you need to refer back to a piece of evidence.